question of an incident and who's telling the truth, but who is ever telling the truth or not?
Behind every red carpet smile lives a story the cameras never pause long enough to hear. In this fictional Hollywood reflection, a legendary actress at 58 looks back, not with bitterness, but with honesty shaped by time. Fame gave her access, applause and power, yet silence quietly took its toll. The moments that hurt most were not public scandals, but private disappointments, trust misplaced, loyalty assumed, admiration misunderstood. These stories are not driven by revenge or outrage, but by clarity, the kind that comes only after years of surviving pressure, expectation, and loneliness at the top. This is not a documentary, and not a confession. It is a dramatized portrait of how imagined betrayals, small and large, can linger beneath success, reminding us that even the most celebrated stars are still human first. 1. Joy. Behar. The public. Sting. In this fictional telling, the hurt doesn't arrive with shouting or cruelty, but with something far more unsettling. A joke that lands wrong and is never taken back. The talk show space is designed to feel relaxed and friendly, a place where stories are shared and guests are protected by warmth and laughter. That expectation is exactly why the moment cuts so deeply. A single remark reduces years of effort, discipline, and personal sacrifice into a shallow observation. What truly deepens the wound is not the comment itself, but the audience reaction. Applause and laughter turn a private sting into a public verdict. The actress feels exposed, flattened into an image rather than recognized as a person. In this story, walking away is not dramatic or impulsive. It is measured and quiet, a decision rooted in self-respect rather than anger. She understands that explaining herself would only invite further misinterpretation. This fictional moment highlights how humiliation often arrives softly, disguised as humor, leaving marks that linger longer than open insults. It also reflects a painful truth. Public spaces can sometimes be the loneliest, where humanity is sacrificed for entertainment. Choosing distance becomes an act of protection, not avoidance. 2. George Clooney, The Illusion of Trust. This fictional chapter focuses on vulnerability and emotional miscalculation rather than scandal. The co-star represents safety in an industry that rarely slows down. Late-night conversations, shared jokes and small gestures build something that feels sincere precisely because it exists away from cameras and headlines. The actress allows herself to believe that not everything has to be strategic. But ambition quietly changes the balance. What once felt personal begins to feel useful. Private moments are reframed as stories, opportunities, or leverage. The betrayal doesn't arrive with cruelty, it arrives calmly, explained away as how things work. That rationalization is what hurts the most. The actress isn't shattered by rejection, but by realization. She understands that affection without loyalty can still feel real, but it is fragile and unsafe. This fictional experience reshapes how she approaches trust, not just romantically, but professionally. She learns that sincerity can be mistaken for weakness, and that boundaries matter even when connection feels genuine. The loss isn't just of a relationship, but of innocence. The belief that closeness alone can protect you in a world driven by ambition. 3. Sean Penn, Power Behind the Camera. In this imagined story, fear replaces romance, and admiration slowly turns into unease. The director's reputation precedes him, granting authority that feels unquestionable. At first, intensity is framed as passion, a commitment to truth and craft. But gradually, invisible boundaries begin to blur. What should remain professional starts to feel intrusive. Creative direction shifts into control. Consent becomes complicated, tangled in power dynamics and unspoken expectations. The actress feels caught between two unbearable choices: protect her dignity or protect her career. Speaking up feels dangerous, staying silent feels heavy. In this narrative, silence is not agreement, it is survival. The experience forces her to confront how easily artistic truth can be used to justify behavior that strips people of agency. This fictional chapter reflects a broader industry reality where power often hides behind genius and intimidation is mistaken for leadership. The lasting impact is emotional as much as professional. Trust in authority erodes, replaced by caution and vigilance. She carries forward a promise to herself: never again confuse dominance with creativity, and never ignore discomfort simply to keep the peace. 4. Meryl Streep, The Quiet Displacement. This fictional rivalry is defined by what never happens. There are no arguments, no raised voices, no public fallout. Instead, a role slowly slips away. A project built with care and passion is reassigned through timing, influence, and quiet decisions made elsewhere. The actress watches from the actress, a distance stunned not by rejection but by erasure. No one confronts her. No one explains. That absence is what hurts most. The loss isn't just professional, it's deeply personal. She had invested time, emotion, and belief into the work, trusting that admiration implied fairness. This story highlights how power often moves silently in Hollywood, reshaping careers without visible conflict. The actress learns that respect is not guaranteed by talent, effort, or even mutual regard. Systems favor influence, and outcomes are rarely transparent. The betrayal lingers not because it was cruel, but because it was invisible. There is nothing to confront, nothing to reclaim, and no closure offered. What remains is a sobering understanding. Even icons operate within structures that quietly decide who moves forward and who is left behind. 5. Bradley Cooper, Charm with Consequences. The final fictional story centers on misplaced trust born from chemistry and optimism. The connection feels easy and exciting, blending professional admiration with personal closeness. Boundaries soften naturally, without intention or caution. For a while, it feels mutual and harmless. But ambition slips in quietly. Private moments begin to surface publicly. Intimacy becomes narrative. What once felt genuine starts to feel strategic. The actress realizes too late that vulnerability can be repurposed and trust reframed as access. The betrayal is not shocking, it is disappointing in a way that settles slowly. What hurts most is recognizing her own role in the situation, believing charm where discernment was needed. Walking away becomes less about anger and more about forgiveness, especially toward herself. This fictional ending reflects a difficult but empowering truth. Growth often comes from acknowledging misjudgment without self-punishment. Distance becomes healing, not failure. In stepping back, the actress reclaims agency in a world that too often mistakes openness for opportunity and sincerity for availability. Conclusion. What remains? After the spotlight fades. At 58, looking back on these fictional betrayals, the story is less about revenge and more about endurance. Fame may have given Julia Roberts applause, recognition, and influence, but it could not shield her from disappointment, nor guarantee understanding or respect. Each imagined encounter, from trust misplaced to recognition stolen, brought a lesson in loss, whether of safety, innocence, or personal agency. None of these moments destroyed her, but they reshaped her, stripping away illusions she once held about people, power, and success. Hollywood in this narrative is neither villain nor savior. It magnifies ambition, rewards silence, and mistakes resilience for permission to endure more than anyone should. What lingers at 58 is clarity rather than bitterness. The ability to see when admiration is conditional, when loyalty is absent, and when walking away is the truest form of self-respect. These stories show that resilience rarely arrives with fanfare. It is forged quietly through disappointment rather than applause. When the spotlight finally fades, what endures is wisdom. The strength to choose dignity over validation, boundaries over approval, and self-worth over survival.